All right, well, welcome back to As Told by You. We have a guest today that I'm so excited about. Tyler was literally on my first list that I wrote down. I was like, who do I want as a guest? And Tyler was on my first list. So it only took us almost a year to get you, but that's exciting. Tyler, kind of introduce yourself and tell us kind of who you are and why is this so interesting?
Yeah. So, thank you very much for coming on. I love the studio and everything. And
Thank you.
Great to reconnect with you. I think we're at the cigar bar a couple down and we bumped into each other.
That's right.
So that was great. Yeah. But yeah, my name's Tyler Robertson. I'm the CEO and founder of Diesel Laptops. And if people think we just do laptops, that's really not what we do at all. Common misnomer there. But what the company does today is we help diesel technicians be more efficient at their jobs. And I know a lot of people are like, what's the big deal? And I just want to put in scale for everybody to understand this. So last year in North America, $80 billion was spent fixing commercial trucks. Another $150 billion was spent fixing diesel-powered off-highway equipment. So now you're talking in the neighborhood about $250 billion in parts and labor spent just fixing all this diesel-powered equipment that most people listening to this probably never even see or pay attention to. And to put that in perspective, just the commercial truck side, that $80 billion, that's larger than the recording artist industry and the cruise line industry combined. Wow. So this is a mammoth industry that depends on everything we do all day long. Everything we eat, buy, drive, touch. A diesel engine probably touched it several times along its journey out of the ground and into our hands. So it's a big market.
That's awesome. How do you get into doing that?
Yeah, well, we can go way back here. So,
take us on a journey.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear the story.
Well, it's definitely an interesting journey. So I was actually at school for computer engineering, and I learned a very important lesson at about 20 years old. If you don't go to class, they kick you out of college. So I got the boot from college and had to go back home. My dad visibly upset, his son getting kicked out of college. He said I owed him about $50,000 in student loans now that he had signed for me and got a mortgage on the house. But he said, no problem, you can come work for me. We're actually building a truck dealership. So my family's in the concrete and aggregate industry. They know nothing about a truck dealership, but I'm literally there with a shovel and a broom helping them build this building. And as the building got up and things were going along, they asked me to do more things. They said, hey, help with set up the server. You went to computer school, you know what you're doing. Set up the server. Great. All right, now we got this dealer management system. Somebody needs to figure out and get it going. So I did that and just kind of worked my way around that dealership. So that's kind of how I got in the business. And my father and his brothers ended up selling that business a couple years later. And I went on the internet, put my resume out, and a headhunter found me and flew me around the country and got me a couple job offers. So I picked this one here in South Carolina. So that's how I got down here and worked for another truck dealership for about 10 years down here before I decided to go do this thing on my own.
So when did you realize there was a market for a software system that analyzes the computers inside the diesel operated equipment and help with the maintenance? Like, where did you say, oh, that's the market, that's what I need to do?
Yeah, well, I never intended to start a business, first of all. So I'm working inside a truck dealership. I really got more into the parts management and the service management side. And now think back about 15 years ago when people came into a truck dealership, they'd have these check engine lights come on. And the customer would always be like, I don't know what's wrong with it. My light's on, fix it. Well, what people don't know is truck dealerships are booked out 2 or 3 weeks at all times. There's a diesel technician shortage. There's all kinds of reasons for this. So I was a service manager. I was like, you know what? Let's just go hook the laptop up quick for the customer to let him know if it's serious and he needs to leave it here, or if he can just bring it back in a couple days or a week, and we'll work him in that way. Well, you do that for a couple customers, and all of a sudden they start asking, how can I buy that software? And we're like, well, no, we're the dealership. You can't have this. Only we can have this, right? There's no right to repair in this commercial space. So I started to realize people want that ability to do that. And what happened is I was I think a lot of people in their 30s, just a lot in debt. I had car debt, credit card debt, student loan debt. So did the wife, just debt up to our eyeballs, living paycheck to paycheck essentially. And I wanted to get out of it. I found Dave Ramsey, started reading the books, listening to the podcasts, and I'm like, I got to start a little side business here to start making some money. And you do what you know. And I found a guy on eBay, of all places, that was selling this piece of software that would literally hook up to any truck and at least read all the data. You couldn't send the commands and do the test, but you could at least read everything. I'm like, well, man, this guy's got a great pro. This is exactly what people are asking for every day in my own shop. Why don't I make a bundle? I'll take his software and I'll put it on a laptop and I'll put the hardware interface device together and I'll sell a kit. And I put the first one on eBay and I marked it up $1,000 and the thing sold in like 24 hours. I'm like, man, that's the easiest $1,000 I've ever made. Let me go do this again. Put another one on, raised the price. And it just kind of took off as a part-time gig to get out of debt at that time while I was working for somebody else.
Wow. Well, I think it's probably the first time we talked about Dave Ramsey on the show, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, we might have talked about it, but I don't think I've had another guest bring it up. So I had a very, very similar story, in my 30s, had a lot of debt, and Dave Ramsey
Also went to school to be a
I
computer guy.
Yeah.
Didn't
I guess we
work
took
out.
very different paths. But that's, I think I find that type of origin so interesting where you go, oh, cool, I found this thing that's a solution. And then once you sell it for the first time, you go, aha, I can sell it.
Yeah, no, it was an eye-opening moment for me.
Yeah.
And literally I still follow Dave Ramsey's principles. So like we started Diesel Laptops, literally I started with like $1,000 in my garage, dining room table. Today we do around 100 million in revenue and we do it without debt. Yeah. So people always say like, how do you grow a company? You have to take on debt, and they try to be all smart. Like I can borrow this, it's cheaper, and I can make more money over here and do all these crazy things. And I'm just debt adverse because I have yet to see a company go bankrupt that didn't owe somebody money, right? Like that's the reason you go bankrupt, because you owe too much money. You can't afford to pay all your bills.
Sure.
So I've been really cautious growing the company and making sure we don't run into that problem. And that's really fun growing a company and doubling revenue and doing all those things for years, not taking on debt. But it is doable. I'm living proof of it because we did it here at Diesel Laptops.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you guys have the entire United States. Do you go internationally too, or how far is your footprint?
Yeah, so we traditionally just sold in North America. I did just acquire a company up in Canada early in January, which is a little bit different than what we do, but it's a really cool thing with like predictive and AI and all the cool stuff. We do want to go international. So if you look at the world of commercial trucks, there's really 3 different types. There's North American trucks, European trucks, and Asian trucks. So here in the United States, we get some of the import Asian trucks, and we have North American trucks, and we work great. The rest of the world has European trucks. South America, Africa, Europe, Australia. We really view Australia as our launching off point. So I was in Australia earlier this year for a little bit of time. We sent vehicle engineers there, talked to a lot of customers, strategic relationships we were building out with some potential partners, government officials. And yeah, going global is like on our agenda now. And it really starts for us in Australia because Australia is half North American, half European trucks. So we just got to go figure out that other half. Then we can know European, and then kind of the rest of the world opens up to us. So we do have some pretty big ambitions here with Diesel Laptops over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
That's awesome. What I was curious about the trucking industry, which I don't know anything about, but I would assume that the electric trucks are on the horizon. Is that right? Is that something that
It's actually amazing how much I don't know about trucking in general. Like I have no idea how freight goes from point A to B,
Right.
but I do know what happens when a truck breaks down. I do know about electric. So I had my own podcast show for a while as well. I had Mack and Volvo trucks. The guy head of EV was on there. I've been to Navistar, who makes international trucks, which is now Triton. Been to their e-mobility center up in Illinois. So EV trucks have challenges, man. They got a bunch of challenges. So you got to keep in mind with commercial trucks, these are like tools that people use to make money, right? These are not just meant to like casually bring us from point A to B. They're like literally a tool, like a wrench or a shovel, just really expensive ones. And with EVs, there's a couple big headwinds with commercial trucks. So number one, they cost twice as much as a normal diesel powered truck. So right off the get-go, your costs are doubled. The other problem is weight. So in the commercial truck world, when people see these tractor trailers going up and down the road, every pound they can haul is another $1 in their pocket. So the heavier the truck, the more fuel they have on, the bigger the truck, that means there's less they can haul in the trailer, which means the load's less, which means they make less money per mile or per load. And unfortunately with EV trucks, when you compare a commercial over-the-road tractor trailer we think of a semi-truck a diesel powered to an electric powered, the diesels are about, or the electric are about 10,000 pounds heavier. So that's a big deal because they only held 80,000, or only allowed 80,000 to begin with. So now we just knocked off, 10%, 15% of the total capacity of that vehicle.
Yeah.
And the charging infrastructure isn't there. It's different than automotive.
Right.
They need different types of things. Most places, when they look at doing it, it's about $250,000 investment to put in all the right electrical, the panels, all the right things you need. So EVs is going to be a while, with all that said, but you will see it in certain places like school bus, transit bus, and you'll see it like in refuse. Like those make sense in terms of their dedicated routes. They charge during off-peak hours. There's a lot of variables in this when it comes to math and business, and that's really a difference with EVs. So there's a lot of hype a couple years ago. A couple companies started, did the whole SPAC thing, went on the market. There's even a great story out there if the audience wants to look up Nikola Trucks and Trevor Milton. Basically, the guy made a fake EV commercial truck, brought it to a hill, cut a rope on it, went down the hill. Company went public, got it worth billions of dollars, and the whole thing was a fraud. So there's some good stories out there in our space that's happened recently in that industry.
You gotta love the modern landscape for stuff like that. Well, back to the original kind of story. What do you feel like made this work in the beginning? What do you feel like made it take off?
Yeah, what people were looking for in the beginning was just a solution to a problem. So everyone that owns these millions of commercial trucks all have the same problem. My check engine light's on, what do I do? And it really got exacerbated when emission laws came into place. So emission laws in 2004 is when this all started, when the government said we need to put more stuff on our vehicles to have less pollutant coming out of these dirty diesel engines. And since 2004, there's been these milestones in 7, 10, 13, 17, 21, and even 24 on having reduced emissions. And every time they do that, they put more stuff on the engine, more stuff on the engine, more stuff on the exhaust. Today, in a lot of places, the air going into a truck actually comes out cleaner coming out than it does going in. There's so much of this stuff going on. So nobody knows how to fix these things. OEMs didn't give any training. They didn't give any repair information. They didn't give access to tools. So if you can imagine just a whole bunch of new technology coming out and nobody gives you access to anything at all, to know about it, how to fix it, how to troubleshoot, how it even works. And now all of a sudden you got these $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 machines that are breaking down everywhere. And people want the right to repair. So that's really what started it, was people just wanting to be able to fix their own stuff. And it sounds crazy because everyone kind of equates automotive to like, I can buy a tool everywhere, I can repair information, I can go to these auto market stores and do these things. It just doesn't exist for off-highway. It's been a black hole. So we really filled in at the right time. I always tell people, like, they think I'm a genius or whatever. I'm like, I'm not. Like, I knew about trucks, I knew about computers. Like, I was just at the right point, the right time, and the right life events happened.
Yeah, that's
now,
awesome.
Your product doesn't always have to be diesel, though, does it? It can basically be anything with a CP unit?
Yeah, well, we stick really on, so on a commercial truck. So anything powered by diesel. So you're right. On today's commercial trucks, you have a diesel engine, and they got one computer, maybe 3 or 4. But everything's computer controlled now. The transmission, the ABS system, the HVAC, the windows, like everything's moved to like little individual computers all over these trucks. So yeah, we had to build tools that can really hook up to anything. When we say work on diesel, it's like on highway and off highway, and we got to be able to connect to everything because customers aren't going to put up with, well, you connect to my John Deere, but it doesn't connect to the hydraulic system. Like your tool's junk. Like we can't do that. So it's a big time commitment. We have a whole bunch of engineers over there. It's a really fascinating process how we go through.
How many engineers do you have now?
Oh man, so we have 3 divisions. We have one division doing just software, so that's the website stuff and the back end tools. We have another team that does just vehicle engineering, and then we have another team that does vehicle monitoring and predictive AI. So before you have a problem, and we have outside companies who work with us all. But you add that all up, there's probably 40-ish or so software engineers doing different aspects of that entire business.
Wow. So how does AI fit into? Because we talk about AI in video production and marketing a lot, right? I think it's obvious to us, I guess, how disruptive it's going to be to our industry. How is AI factoring into diesel repair? That seems like that would be something that would be kind of mechanical. I guess not, but I mean, it would be sort of
Until they get the robots to fix the car.
outside of AI, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
so I think there's two things with AI with us, right? There's the internal stuff we build and use every day at our business to make it go quicker and faster and all that. And there's the customer-facing things. So the company I bought back in February, they were built around doing predictive AI for diesel-powered engines. And there's only 3 companies in North America doing this. And they all ran into the same problem, but they were basically saying, hey, if you subscribe to us and allow us to get data off your vehicle, we will tell you before you have a failure, before your emission system gets plugged, before your battery goes dead, before your tire blows. Like these are the things these 3 companies are saying. Mm-hmm. Well, one got valued at $1 billion and got a bunch of investment money. One got valued somewhere a little bit less, and then there was this company that we ended up buying. And they were just focused. Really, they found this niche with transit buses and emission systems. So all 3 of these companies have the same problem, though. So if you go sell this to a customer, and again, these are businesses. We're all about an ROI. You're charging me X. How do I know I actually didn't? How do I know I actually save money because I didn't spend it? Like, how do you prove that?
Well, that was kind of my question.
Yeah.
Is like, you're about to have this problem, but you don't know if I'm going to have this problem. You're assuming I'm going to have it
likely
based
that
on
you're gonna have
data.
this.
It's likely.
Yeah.
So you know what customers would do? They
Yeah.
would get the alerts and then they'd wait for the engine to break. That
So
was how
they
that's what they would do to
they wouldn't
prove.
act on
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So that's what they would do. But so all 3 of these companies are struggling with revenue. They're getting customers and they're not renewing because they're having a hard time justifying the cost. Because this isn't cheap. You're talking, 50, 60, 70, 80, $100 a truck per times as many you have per month. So it adds up really quick. So they were in trouble. They just lost a big contract with New York City Transit, and investment money was kind of drying up. It's getting harder to get things funded the last year or so. But I looked at it and I was like, I get the whole predictive AI thing, and I think it's a thing in 10 years. But what I really want to buy here is a remote monitoring company. Mm-hmm. So my whole vision
Collecting data.
Yeah. So my whole vision of the world is, well, right now we're all reactive. Truck breaks, someone looks at it, goes to a shop, someone looks at it. Whoever technician happens to be there, whether they're trained or not, diagnoses it wherever the truck is, and then it's maybe fixed, maybe not. And this process happens over and over again across the United States. So I looked at it, I was like, what this world really needs to do is move from in-shop diagnostics to in-cab diagnostics and in the cloud. So what that means is, what if instead of trucks breaking down and then going somewhere, then being diagnosed, what if we just monitored them? And when they broke down, we instantly knew. And I have a call center with 40 or 50 diesel techs in it. They can be the first ones to look at it while it's on the side of the road or even while the driver's driving it down the road. We can do the initial triage. We already got the repair information. We know what parts it takes to fit. Like, we do thousands and tens of thousands of case files a day already for in-shop. Let's just do it in the cab and in the cloud. So that's really what we transitioned this company to, was like, okay, we're still going to work in predictive and we're still going to sell that and talk about it. But what we're going to do is we're really going to go sell these guys 24/7 remote monitoring with diesel tech.
So
and
it's kind of like
systems.
it's kind of like the OnStar system, but for monitoring and like, hey, we've noticed that this is happening to your vehicle. You might want to go pull over. Or,
exactly, and they don't.
We'll send someone to help you when you break down in 20 miles because you're about to break down.
Exactly. So all the OEMs have been trying to do this for years. And what they really do is the OEMs, they just focus on the really common stuff. And you got to keep in mind, too, if you buy a Freightliner, it's not a Freightliner engine or Detroit. It could be a Cummins. It could be somebody else's components in there. So they're not really responsible for those things. They're just responsible for the chassis. So we had to say, we're going to be the OnStar, but for all makes, all models, everything on the vehicle. Wow. So it's a much bigger scope of what we have to do. But what we're doing is taking it industry by industry.
And how different is like a Freightliner to a Mack or whatever?
So we're doing it by engine to start with, right? Mm-hmm. Those are the most common failed things, are the engines and the after treatment systems.
Right.
So the company I bought, they do great in transit bus. And now we said, well, what's like a transit bus? What stops and goes and has a dedicated route and has similar engines? Well, refuse. It's the same thing. Same engines, just in different vehicles. They stop and go. It's similar stuff. So let's go do refuse. So right now we're under beta testing with a couple of very large refuse companies across the country, just making sure, does it work? And now we'll do refuse.
That seems like that would be a huge revenue base, though. I mean, from city government.
Yeah,
like
even
county government.
So even
private.
like this just happened actually this week. I'm happy to announce. So this company we bought is called Pretact. We've renamed it Watchtower. I think last year they did about $1.5 million in revenue, 2 million. Like this week alone, we closed $1 million worth of contracts for just transit bus.
Wow.
So I believe that customers are going to understand like, yep, this I can get, this I can see an ROI on because I'm seeing right away the reactive model. Plus we have a little flavor in there, the predictive with certain components on these vehicles as well. So yeah, we're going to go industry by industry and just knock these guys out and keep growing the company.
Wow, that's awesome. I love the idea of a CEO making big moves. It's like you make the high level, decisions to do things like that. I'm assuming you haven't done made a diagnostic system in a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not down there in production, but right. I guarantee you I'm definitely the guy that's not afraid to throw the hand grenade in the trench and blow it up and start it all over again. Because here's why, though, right? So here's what I've learned is if you just keep doing the things the way you're doing them, like the same marketing, the same sales, the same whatever, you'll get to a number, and then you're going to get stuck there. Mm-hmm. And unless you completely look at it and say, okay, now that I'm here, if I had to wipe the slate clean, would I still do this? And a big pivot, we're in the middle. I'm doing it right now. Like we're at a big revenue thing, and I'm rolling the dice, right? So our old model was buy a kit. And every year, it's going to still work forever, but you're going to have to pay a renewal if you want support, updates, training, all these things, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to go chase thousands of customers every month for a renewal, which is fine. We do a lot of renewal revenue. We got a whole department, but it's a real pain to do. And the world's really switched to this monthly subscription mindset. So what we're doing now is telling customers, well, don't pay me, $4,000 to $10,000 for this tool. Just pay me $500 and pay me $50 a week. And sign this 3-year contract. So trying to retrain your entire marketing department, your entire sales org, and then have them redo all your internal systems and policies to completely flip a script, man, it is like pushing a mountain over there, right?
It's almost like pushing a giant truck up a hill.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just one bite of the elephant at a time, I guess, right? Yeah. But it's really been difficult because you got salespeople like, I make great money. Why would I sell this a different way? I don't want to do this. And marketing's not understanding. And there's just chaos everywhere. But I know if I don't do it, I can't get the company to 150 million or 200 million or wherever it needs to get to. And it has to change and it has to adapt with the way the world works now.
Well, talk about what drives you at this point. Like, you feel like you've hit a level of success. What drives you at this point to keep pushing that boundary?
Oh, the ultimate question, the why question, right? Yeah. It's like that's really what it comes down to is why do you do this?
Why in the world?
Yeah. So it's changed, and I think this is an important question that any entrepreneur or business owner needs to ask: is why am I waking up every morning to do this? So when I first quit my job to do this full time, it was like, I just need to do this to put a roof over my kids, my family's, put food in their mouth, right? Mm-hmm. That was the first why. Like, okay, I've done that. And then it was like, okay, well, can I actually create like an actual business, not in my garage? Like, let me go figure that out. And yeah, I rented a spot and hired employees and we had a thing going. And then it was like, man, how fast can I grow this? Can I be one of the fastest growing companies in the country, in the state? And we won Inc. 5000, Inc. 500, fastest growing in South Carolina, SBA. We won all the awards. And you're like, okay, well, now what? And for me, the why really now is really simple. To make our industry a better place when it comes to keeping these things on the road. Keep the wheels moving. And our industry is so antiquated, so fragmented. It is absolutely ridiculous the way the world works today when it comes to the way these vehicles are broken. And it really impacts a lot of things. What you pay for a thing at a store is a lot of that's based on the cost of like this whole logistics network to actually get it there to the store. And for me, like, I'm like, how many companies have the opportunity now to actually go change the way an industry works? So that's what I wake up every day excited about is like, I'm going to go change the way this whole thing works. And we're going to keep growing diesel laptops to be the real driver in that whole industry.
Wow.
So why do you think the trucks break down so much?
There's so,
like $80 billion.
I mean, they're hard, right? I mean, it's a hard life for a truck, right?
Is it just the
our
quality
cameras. One of the reasons why our cameras break down is we use them every day, 3 or 4 times a day.
Well, let's look at it this way. In the 50s, we had appliances that would last forever.
Right.
And now they make them so they die after 10 years, so you buy new ones. But so there's a quality change in the parts, in the systems that force turnover in appliances, for example. Cars in general used to be things where you could fix them on your own, and then they became computerized, and now the average person can't fix their car. They have to take it to the dealer. But is the quality of the construction of the truck downgraded in order for this industry to be even in existence? Or is it something that, yes, there's wear and tear because it's a truck and it's driving thousands and thousands of miles, but there's a lot of cars that drive thousands and thousands of miles that aren't in the shop all the time.
Yeah, so I will say the quality of how things are built now, the major components of commercial trucks are way better than they've ever been. So it was really common back, 10 years ago. You have to pop the valve cover off and adjust the lash and do the tune-up and all the things. Oil change intervals have probably doubled or tripled. Warranties on transmissions used to be like 200,000 miles. Now they're like 500 or 750,000 miles or a million miles. So things have gotten better with the machining and the products that are inside them. I think what's changed more than anything else is people do use their trucks for longer periods of time now. So and keep in mind, like an average over-the-road truck's probably doing 100,000, 110,000 miles a year. I mean, that's more than most people put on their cars, right, in the lifetime that they own them. Think about a dump truck. It's at a construction site with something getting dropped into it all day long, and it's shaking and moving around, and all the things are happening. So these are tools that people are using every day, and tools wear out. So I don't think there's a lot of quality problems. What has happened, and was the biggest problem, is the misdiagnostics of things. So we call it the parts cannon. We actually had an ad campaign coming about this, because here's what happens. Truck rolls into a shop. Diesel technicians have no training because there's none available. They have no access to repair information from the OEMs. They have no access to the diagnostic tools from the OEMs. And the truck shows up, and it's got a check engine light on, and they're on there on Google, or they're asking their buddy in the bay over, like, what do I do? How do I fix this thing? And they don't know. So we call it the parts cannon. Well, I got this code. It's something to do with the NOx, so I'm just going to start replacing parts one at a time until something fixes it. And then they go all the way through this, and it didn't fix it. They pretty much every part they could find in the troubleshooting steps or whatever Google told them, still's not fixed. And they point at that box on the computer that's a computer, and they're like, it's got to be that. Let's buy a new one. So we have a service in our company where we actually like program ECMs for companies. We send this kit out. We do it for them. And we try to talk every customer possible out of not doing it. And they're like, why? It's got to be this. We're like, man, 85% of them fail. Like it doesn't fix it. And sure enough, you ship one, even after we convince them not to, they still don't, right? So people don't know how to diagnose them. That's why we opened up one of our divisions called Diesel Training. So we have training centers across the United States, and we have an online platform, and we teach people how to properly diagnose and fix anything, after treatment, electrical, CAN bus, whatever the course is about, regardless of whose tools they have or not. And you would be amazed. When we first started doing this, we had a basic electrical course. Like we're talking about Ohm's law. We're talking like just how to troubleshoot electrical systems. And we'd have people come and do a pretest. And these are guys that have been in the industry for a lot of years, and over, 75%, 70% couldn't pass like the basic pretest. How to use a multimeter properly, how to test voltage, how to test ohms. They didn't even know. There's a lot of just guesswork and throwing parts at things. So that whole 80 billion I said shouldn't even be close to the realm of that number. That's just the waste that goes on in the industry with what's happening. And there are a lot of wear and tear parts. You're going through a lot of brake shoes and brake drums when you're putting on 100,000 miles a year and components like that.
Yeah.
So how would you expect to get better technicians? Like, is it just a lack of the same workforce development issues that the building industry has, where people just don't want to be diesel mechanics, even though I've heard diesel mechanics make a ton of money, and apparently they don't have to be that good or know anything?
Yeah, so we, like most skilled trades, have a severe issue going on. It's been getting progressively worse. Right now in the United States, if you add up all the diesel techs across all the industries, I think 500,000 of them out there. Right now, if you go on Indeed, just Indeed, there's probably somewhere around 60 to 70,000 job listings.
Wow.
So that's one platform, and a lot of those listings are looking for multiple technicians. A survey just came out about a week and a half ago from a research company, and it was about 2/3 of all the repair shops across the country, they said, were short at least one technician. Our educational system for vocational will put out about 10,000 students this year. So, and by the way, you have more than that retiring or leaving the industry every year. So this problem has been getting worse year after year after year. So that's part of the problem is we have people working on vehicles that don't know what they're doing. And we can't throw more bodies at it. I'm involved in a bunch of industries and they've tried all kinds of stupid stuff to try to fix this problem. Everything from making video games about fixing trucks to running campaigns at like grade schools. I'm like, you guys are just way off base here. So for me, it's been an opportunity. And there's other companies that I work with that have had the same opportunity now because of this diesel technician shortage. And that's our viewpoint is like, look, maybe we can't bring more techs into the industry, but what if we could make them all 10 or 15% more efficient during their job?
So to follow up on the comment about making things 10% or 15% more efficient, is there... that just opens up the realm for just robot technicians, right?
So this is where
as the technology develops and AI improves, or couldn't they just put a program together that says, "Here, we'll just give you a new truck every year, and then we repair this old one, basically using the same thing that you did to create it."
I think it's an interesting conversation because the workforce development is something that is happening in just about every industry, which I think is cool. I love this idea of the truck subscription, right? You have a truck subscription, right? You get your truck for this year. You turn
100,000 miles. Every 100,000 miles,
Yep.
you get to turn it in and get a gently used 100,000 mile truck that had already gone through the whole
gets rehabbed.
reprint.
Yeah, it just gets rehabbed and then
Yeah,
put back into the fleet.
So me and my buddy, we had probably like too many beers talking about this one night, right? But we're like, right now they lease trucks, right? And you pay per mile. We're like, why don't they lease it where they only get paid when they're running and they don't get paid if they're down? Right?
Yeah.
Like that way the customer's like, they're incentivized to keep it running. Kind of like a doctor. Why do doctors get paid when we're sick? Shouldn't they get paid when we're healthy? Like,
Right.
shouldn't they really
Success,
work?
pay for the
Exactly.
The healthcare
Exactly.
industry is an oxymoron.
Right.
Well, I love Porsche did this a couple of years ago. They had a subscription model where you pay a subscription, you get any Porsche that they have at the dealership. So if you want a Macan for the weekend, you want a 911 for the weekend, you just tell them you want it and they'll bring it to you, right? And they'll trade out the one you've got for the one that you just brought in. It didn't last. They canceled it. I don't know why, but it was like $2,000 a month or something like that, and you get any Porsche that's on the thing. I think this works for the trucking. I want this truck for this particular thing. Bring me the whatever, and they'll roll it out to you. And,
Hey, that's what we're doing now, right? We're going from products to solutions and saying
Yeah.
just pay me this weekly or monthly fee, and you get
Right.
unlimited training, repair information, my virtual techs, all the tools. Like, yeah, that's the way it should be.
Well, they did this with video editing software about 10 years ago, and it used to be that if you used Adobe Premiere, you'd pay $1,700 for the Adobe package, and then you'd have to pay a couple $100s a year to upgrade it. And they went to this flat like $60 a month, subscription, and you get every Adobe product that's ever been made, right? Yep. Which is really expensive in the long run, but it's the system we're on, and everybody's just gotten adapted to it. Everybody's gotten adapted.
I mean, everyone's
to it.
doing it. GoPro did it, right?
Yeah.
With theirs. Microsoft did it with Office. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of Flex did it. There's a whole bunch of companies, and that's the exact pivot that we're making at Diesel Laptops. Is like, hey, there's going to be a new way we're going to do this.
Yeah.
None of our competitors are doing it, so I think we got a huge advantage here, and I think it's going to be a great program for us at the end of the day.
What's the percentage of owner operators on the road in comparison to like people working for
Company
Southeastern
people.
Freight Lines?
Yeah.
Giant companies like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure on the exact percentage. I know it's tough owner operator, right? Like, and there's, by the way, I think there's like 2 million registered trucking companies in the United States. And I think the vast majority of them are like less than 4 trucks, like 95% of them, right? So there's this huge swath of people that have like startups. Like I just talked to someone the other day. He's like, well, I quit my job. I bought a truck. I'm a trucking company. Right. So, but they go on load boards and they find loads and they go take a run at it. Right.
Yeah.
Like people do this and then they see the stories. A guy that started with 1 truck and now he's got 500. So it is possible. But yeah, there's a lot of owner operators out there, and that's a whole other market segment for us that we traditionally haven't gone after, but we are now. So we actually, like our business was going after repair shops. People, once the truck was broke. So now we've come up with some pretty cool tools. We have this tool. It's like, man, the size of a $50. It's super tiny, and it turns your smartphone into a diagnostic tool.
Oh, cool.
And it's like $300. I can read all the codes. I can get instant repair information for them. I can do common commands. You pay an extra $30 a month if you want to do that. So we developed that tool. I think we sold 25,000 those little guys. So yeah, we've been trying to be like, okay, what's tangential here to repair shops and off highway? And there's a whole bunch of industries. Like, it's actually amazing how many little areas like this. Like, a big one for us, people don't even know, is there's two: equipment rental industry and ground support for all the airports. Like, people don't realize at an airport, next time you're there and you go walk around, or you're just standing there staring out the window, those tuggers bringing your luggage around, the fuel trucks, the Sky Chef.
All diesel.
There's a diesel engine under every gangway that you walk out doing the HVAC. So those things are like everywhere at airports. For every one airplane, there's 14 pieces of ground support equipment.
Yeah.
So a bunch of industries.
Well, in huge airports, you've also got the transports that take you out to the remote fields and.
Oh yeah, it's people. Once you like take a step back and realize how much diesel, like there might even be a diesel on this building doing a generator somewhere, right? I know my building's got one. They are just everywhere, and they're just hidden from sight, just doing the things in the background, making people money and doing jobs.
That's so cool.
But it's also probably the reason why, inflation with the amount of diesel that is used when you raise the fuel prices. Mm-hmm. It's a tool, so then it costs that much more.
Well, and
that was a large capacity of what the inflation started out with.
I was going to say, I had never heard the term supply chain before 2020, right? It's not something any of us had ever heard, right? It was always a factor, right? It was just not in the conversation the way that it started to be, at that point. And I think, this is such a fundamental, it's such a fundamental kind of function to the way that we all live, regardless of whether we drive a diesel truck or not, So.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 was a great year for us because if everyone remembers, that's all there was trucks bringing stuff around because we're all sitting at home ordering stuff online and whatever, right? I don't people even know there's actually been a freight recession the last couple of years because there was such that peak demand, and then demand just plummeted, and a lot of trucking companies went bankrupt and out of business, and all the things happened. So it's been, that whole industry though has been like up and down. It's either you're making $1 million or you're losing $2 million. It's like it goes one way or the other.
Yeah, that's wild. Tell me about. So, are y'all officially in Irmo? Tell me where you. What do you consider your headquarters?
Yeah, we landed in Irmo for our headquarters. So through this last 10 years, it started with my house and a small rental and a bigger rental and a bigger rental, and then we moved to Lexington, and then we moved out to Gilbert. And when we outgrew Gilbert, we needed like a 40,000 square foot building. So I called the same real estate agent I always use. Like, all right, George, I need a bigger building again. This one's 20,000. Let's double it up again. And I think there was like 3 available, maybe 2. And there was one in Lexington and one in Irmo. And I really wanted to stay in Lexington. I lived in Lexington. I was over there, but they had like this business tax. And they were like, yeah, we want, man, it felt like the mafia. They were like, we want 1% of every dollar you sell. I'm like, for what? I remember meeting with them being like, what do I get for that? And he's like, well, you got
fire department will come.
You get police, you get fire, and we had a lot of restaurants around here. I'm like, I am not paying you, like, at this point we're doing like $40 million a year. I'm like, I am not paying you that much money for the privilege to like be here in Lexington.
Well, and then you're going like, well, they didn't pay their taxes, so I know the building's on fire, but what am I supposed to do? They didn't pay their taxes, so I can't put it out. I mean, what am I supposed to put it out? They didn't pay their taxes. We had so back a long time ago when my wife and I were in business together, we moved into an office in Lexington, and I didn't know anything about this tax, right? This license or whatever, and we were moving our stuff in, just kind of happy moving our furniture in and all this stuff. And the dude knocked on the door. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm from Lexington. You got your license?" And I go, "What's that?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got to get a license." I was like, "Well, no, And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "It's 1% of your sales." I was like, "Okay, can we talk about like, is it sales in the city of Lexington? Is that what you're saying?" I was like, "Oh, that's like $1,500, because I haven't done any business in Lexington.
Yeah.
We were just meeting people there, right? And we were a wedding videography business, so we were going all over the state, and so." Lexington is interesting in that way, but I live in Irmo, so this is, I go down, the road. I see diesel laptops almost every day. I come out, to go to the interstate, and so, It's interesting that that's just the building that was available.
Yeah. And we're like right on the edge
Yeah.
of like everything. So we're actually not in like city of Irmo, but
Right.
like literally the line stops at our driveway.
Right.
So we're actually talking to them right now about like the mayor's trying to convince us, like, hey, come
Sure.
on, join the city. So it does look like there's some good reasons to do it. So
we'll
we
only
may be,
charge you 0.25%.
That's right. We will give you a break on your extortion plan if you join the city. But you're right there at the interstate, which is probably very helpful. And so
it is. We're kind of tucked away in the back there, right? Like we
Yeah.
don't really rely on the drive-by traffic or anything like that.
Well, my question is, I always want to know this, like why Irmo or like why this area? Why do it here versus Atlanta or Charlotte or whatever else? Is there would there be an advantage to being in a bigger area?
I don't know. Probably, yeah. Bigger pool of candidates, right, for specific things, engineers or senior architect.
But you could bring them here, right?
You can bring them here now. Someone to relocate. But for me, like when I had the option, when I quit my job, and I sat down with the wife, I'm like, hey, like, look, I can do this anywhere. Like, we can go anywhere, like anywhere in the United States, and go back home to Minnesota. We can do whatever. Like, it's just me. Like, it doesn't matter where I am. And we both were like, we kind of like it here. Like, we love Lake Murray. We love the area. We felt there's a lot more opportunity for our kids. They were 1 and 3 at the time when we were starting that. But yeah, we had no family, just a couple of loose friends. Nothing really tying us here, but we love the area. That was a great area, and really the area's been great to us. I've met so many people here that have helped support us through this, whether it's been employees. We've got some great customers here. It's been a lot of partners we work with, or whether it's banks and financial people and SPAs and all those kinds of fun things. But no, we really enjoy the community here in the Irmo Midlands area. So we're going to be here forever.
Well, and we talked about it a little bit. What do you feel like is kind of a current challenge? Something, you're not scrambling for sales. This is one thing that a lot of businesses do, right? They just go, I don't have enough sales. Right, but that's not your problem.
Well, okay, let me say that though, right? So keep in mind, like we were the company that was like doubling revenue every year and growing rewards, right? So you go from like 1.5 to 3.5 to 7 to 16.5 to 32. You kind of get used to like that big growth like that. And I can tell you this, it gets a lot harder now that you say you do 100 million. Like I want to grow 10%. Well, that means I got to go find 10 million in new business, which means I got to go find like $800,000 a month in new business next year. Like where's that just come from, right? So how do you do that? So I will say though, revenue growth is still a thing we talk about over there quite a bit. Like we do strategic planning. That's a big part of our business. And we sit down and we figure out like where do we want to be next year and how we're going to get there. And let's put a plan together and go execute it. That's a big thing, strategic planning for any business. But beyond that, it's, man, you get 200 employees, you got all kinds of stupid stuff going on in HR all the time. Like that's a headache. Like a big one for me is like, what do I do? Like, do I own this thing forever? I want to go global. I want to go bigger. I want to go double, triple the revenue in this company next couple of years. That's going to be hard to do on ourselves, cash flowing. Like we're going to need some more resources to do that. So where's that capital going to come from? How are we going to do that? A lot of my job as CEO now is I don't deal with the day-to-day. I know very little what actually happens during the day-to-day or how we do it. I just know what happens at the end, when it comes at the end, right? So for me, it's just planning the future. Like where's the company be in 5 years? If we're here now and I want to be here in 5 years, what are the steps I need to do to get us there? And then I have to go convince my senior executives and the people beneath them, like this is the path, this is the way. And this is why we're doing these things. So a lot of it's just trying to plan the future of the company and figure out where my exit is, because I know it only ends at right now 1 or 2 ways. I sell it or I die or I retire, right? Like those are like 3 ways. Like those are the 3 ways. So I'm trying to figure out, when's the best time for me to get out of this thing, but also make sure Diesel Laptops is still around to keep growing like it is.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you went to school and then you didn't finish. You got kicked out, went back home. Did you ever go back? So to grow a company into $100 million company and have plans for the future, there's a lot of business acumen that you've acquired along the way. Is it just like the school of hard knocks and you just figure out as you go? What have you leaned on to like learn how to do all this stuff?
Oh, this is great because I'm going to go on my college rant here for a second, right? So First of all, let me say this. I think for the vast majority of people going to college, it's literally a scam. Like I literally think it's a waste of time and a waste of money when you look at all the statistics and all the things there. I did go back and do night school to get my college degree. I will say I really didn't learn much. Like I really can't think of anything. Actually, my philosophy class I took in college is probably the one I enjoyed the most. Probably made me think a little differently. But none of the business classes, and I got a BA in business, none of those really helped me. It was really just school of hard knocks. My dad owned a business. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. I grew up at the dining room table talking about business. And ever since I got kicked out of school, I've been working in dealerships, doing everything in there, including accounting. So I understand how business works per se. I read a ton of books. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm all about, and you network with a lot of people in business. You start to pick up things really quick. So I'm not going to sit here and say I've learned everything, but you learn a lot through that journey, just kind of through osmosis and thinking about things and talking to people. But yeah, my kids have college funds. I tell them all the time, I hope to God you never use this. Like you will learn more working like 1 year with me in business than you will probably through 8 years of business school.
It's kind of rich dad, poor dad type idea, right?
It is. But I mean, look how many people drop out, how many people that finish, they get worthless degrees. I mean, just go look at like a lot of those liberal arts degrees and all these other, like, what are you doing? Like, where's the ROI on this? But, people are going to do what people are going to do. But college, we don't look at any college degrees or anything like that educational wise when we hire employees. It's all about what you've done. Do you have some certifications? Can you have a conversation with us? Do you actually know your stuff?
Yeah.
Do you give them like tests, engineers like tests or something?
Software engineering, the one thing they ask them to do is show us your GitHub. That's where they store all the repositories of all their code. They say, show us your GitHub. What do you got? What do you do? And our software engineers, when they sit down and talk with someone, they can know in 5 minutes what they know. It's like you guys. You talk to someone that runs a business, you can in 5 minutes, like, do these guys actually know their stuff or are they BSing?
Oh yeah.
It's the same way with those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. And at MSU, they prove it out in their actions too. As you get them going.
Yeah. We try to hire a mixture of like younger ones and experienced ones, and try to do the whole mentorship thing.
See, my kind of outlook on it is I think we should all go to college at 30 and not 18 and do something between 18 and 30 just to get you there. Because if I had to do it again, mine is in computer science. I have a interdisciplinary degree with computer science and philosophy, but I would go back for business 100% because the business part is the part that I had to catch up on. I learned about making videos by making videos, but like the business part, how to sell stuff, how to understand margins and all that stuff. I mean, that was hard knocks.
Yeah. I mean, most kids they're not mature enough to understand all these business things and how the world works at 18, 19, 20, 21. And that's just the reality of the situation. I remember sitting in classes hearing about, cost of goods sold and this widget and that widget. I'm like, what the hell's a widget, right? You're focused on that, not what I should be learning. So it is, and the dumbest thing I always hear from young people is like, oh, I'm going to college. Like, what are you going for? I don't know. I'm like, you're literally paying like 20, 30, 40 grand a year to figure it out.
Well, mommy and daddy are paying for it.
Yeah.
So.
Jeez. Yeah.
Undeclared for the first couple of years, It's like, I'm just getting my basics.
Yeah.
Well, and I did that. I went in for music. So like my first 2 semesters, I was a music major. That made no sense. My parents were like, whatever, you're getting loans. It's not my problem. And so, I just never knew what I was really
So now you're young 20s with a bunch of student loan debt and a degree you can't use.
Right.
Great way to start adulthood.
Want to be a music teacher, right? I get a job as a music teacher for 15 grand a year or something, or adjunct music faculty at some high school, and so yeah, I mean it is interesting looking back at it. I have one child who he'll be 22 this year, didn't go to college. He's running his own business, doing fine. Not killing everybody, but he's fine. He's good. He's solid.
Not service. He's in a service industry.
In the service industry, I'm not paying his bills, which is great. I have a daughter who is very studious and probably is going to want to go to college, and she wants to work in a zoo. And I'm like, well, why don't you just go get a job at a zoo? Start cleaning out a pen and see where it goes. Let's see if you can develop some kind of expertise on that particular animal, and then maybe make a YouTube channel about how much you know about that animal, and then become something I don't know. I'm not directing her away from college, but at the same time, I'm like, look, I want you to have a good plan if that's what you're going to do, you know? And,
Yeah,
Show me the math.
yeah, right,
If
right.
you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer,
Right,
yeah, let's
Yes.
get you on the college track.
right.
And I've had another thought too, just on this whole thing. Why does the federal government, they always do this study on like what professions they need more people for, like we talked about the skilled trades.
Sure.
Why don't they adjust it every year and be like, well, if we need more diesel tax, we'll pay 100%, but we don't need more people getting literary degrees, so
Right.
we're not paying anything towards federal loans. Like, you
Yeah.
think they could dictate a little bit?
Well, and I think their revenue comes so much from these non-bankruptable loans, that they put out there, the massive percentages they charge for sociology degrees or history degrees, and we look at we talk in the trades a lot about roofers and painters and electricians,
Plumbers and welders and
plumbers and
carpenters.
And diesel mechanics and all these guys. I'm going to tell you 100%. Anybody that's ever seen me work on a tripod, I am not that guy. I have got to be not hands-on on things because I have fumbles for hands. I just don't do well at it. I'm sure there are people that are like that. That you've got to figure out something I can do to be strategic, and I got to think out the plan, and I've got to I got to approve stuff and sign things, and that's where I do best. I was thinking about this the other day that Mike Rowe was talking about the one way to avoid AI taking your job is to learn to be an electrician, and I'm like, it's not in the cards for me. Like I would electrocute myself within the first couple of days.
After the first time, you get used to it. And
that's
you
probably
figure
a
out,
risk I don't want to
put
take.
those two wires together.
Yeah. And so I would have to figure out something else because it is not for me. But
So fun
Painting.
story. I actually got to be on a podcast with Mike Rowe.
oh, did you really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, off camera, the guy is hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
As great as he on camera, he's the same way off camera.
I feel like he succeeds at a level because of the fact that he feels like a guy you could hang out with.
Yeah, he's got
Like,
his whiskey
yeah.
line going on. He's
Yeah.
got everything. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a man's man.
Yep.
right. And I we've had this conversation about our dads, and I'm not sure about your dad, but like our dads were man's men, and I always joke about the new generation hasn't held a flashlight for their dad, and it's obvious, and I had that real experience. I mean, that's a joke, it's a meme, but I had that real experience, how much of a dummy I was because I couldn't hold the flashlight in the right spot, and so, but I think where the conversation goes though is like my son is trying to figure out what to do. He's trying different things to try to make money, as a 21 year old. What's the path to becoming a diesel tech? I mean, what is that path?
Yeah, I mean, before I get into that, like similar thing with my son, like he's actually been getting a lot of trouble lately, and like trouble's been finding him, so to speak.
Sure,
I'm like,
sure.
you need to get some hobbies. So we're
Right.
actually going this weekend to go buy a car, and we're gonna be
Okay.
like, all right, you're gonna start modding this thing.
That's
I got
right.
one of my buddies coming over to help. Like,
Yep.
time to start learning how to use a wrench and a flashlight and a screwdriver,
that's
which
right.
is all stuff he loves, right? But no, being a tech, I mean, first of all, there is no actual thing you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times it's people that just start at shops. They come as like they basically help sweep the floor, or porter trucks around, or do whatever, and then someone takes them under their wing and starts having them change oil and do basic things, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where a lot of people start. A lot of them go to the tech colleges. They go to the 2-year programs. The problem with the 2-year programs, though, however, is it's not good. They go for 2 years. They teach them how to rebuild engines. They teach them like all this fancy stuff. And it's usually like on older engines that nobody uses anymore because that's the only equipment they have there because it got donated 50 years ago. And then they come out thinking they're going to be doing diesel techs. And actually what the industry wants is you to do a brake job, change
right.
oil, how to do a wheel seal.
Yeah.
So there's been some programs that have sprung up now. Wyotech's a good example of this. They have a new program where it's basically like a 12-week boot camp. And you go in there and they just teach you the basics. So now because it's 12 weeks, you can't get student loans because you have to be at least a 2-year program to get a student loan or a 4-year program.
Right.
So they have to find other ways to get these things funded. But that's a lot of what's going to need to be fixed is they're going to have more programs like that just get people into the skilled trades, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, whatever. Find a boot camp, get them into it, and then like get them into places that are willing
They
to
got
work
one
with
in
them.
Midlands Tech, don't they? Because
They
they
do.
have a simulator. Blanchard, I think, sponsored.
They have that
something.
over there too. They also have a great program called Create Opportunity over there at Midlands. We have a couple employees we've hired out of that one, so that's basically adults that are getting retrained as software engineers and software developers. So there are programs out there. They're just not the traditional 2 and 4 year degree thing that everyone thinks or talks about when you talk about having an education.
Yeah. Well, I love the idea that that the world changes constantly. It's kind of keeps us interested, And I remember when my wife was a wedding photographer for a long time. When we got into the business, there were people that would tell you, we have it figured out. It's never going to change. And I go, like, I don't think so. And they were like, nope, it's always going to be books. We make our money from selling books. We make our money from selling prints. This is it. We got it figured out. Anybody who doesn't do it this way is wrong, And of course, history has kind of played it out that way,
So in my conference room, I have 2 concrete blocks. Like these are like the 40, 50 pound blocks. They're actually like in a little glass case, each of them.
Okay.
So one of them is from 1977. It's the very first one my grandfather ever produced in a concrete plant in northern Minnesota.
Oh, cool.
There's a picture of it. It's painted on. My mom painted it. It's like this beautiful thing, right? And then there's this block in the other corner. It says 2009, like in a Sharpie on it, right? And that's the last block my family ever produced out of that plant. So I always tell people, like, why do you think that is? Like, why did my family get out of the concrete block business? Well, the volume went to nothing. Like, well, how can, like, the concrete block's been around for thousands of years.
Right.
Like, how can that business go nowhere? It was technology, just like you were saying. What happened is now they used to do basements with concrete block. Now they put the styrofoam walls up, they pour them, the basement's done in a day. I don't need block layers or blocks. And by the way, it's cheaper, quicker, and it's more insulated. And if you ever go to a big box retailer and they got you can tell they're old because they have concrete blocks for the walls. Now they're poured walls. They come literally on a truck and they just slap them up, and now the wall's up on the building. So in northern Minnesota, like the business for concrete blocks pretty much vanished within a couple of years.
Wow.
And it's technology. So I'm like, if you don't think you can be replaced, look at the concrete block, right? Look at wedding photography. Like,
listen,
like everything can be replaced by technology.
So many industries, and you would think there are some that just aren't going to be affected, and I just think anything's up for disruption. I
mean, we just did our first full AI ad that's gonna be running across Instagram and Facebook. Like the whole thing was done with AI, no humans, and it's literally like a commercial, right?
Sure.
So like the world's just changing really rapidly for everybody in a lot of aspects, and we're just like at day one, I think, with this whole AI thing as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's in its infancy, and it's the worst it's ever going to be right now.
Yep.
Which is scary because it's pretty good. Like I think about the internet 1999. Like I had a modem, I connected to AOL. I did all the things, that you did in 1999. And then the T1 lines came out, and then cable, came out. Now everything's not a modem anymore. Now it's no longer the phone line. Now everybody's on all the time.
I view the AI thing just like the 2000s, right? Like the internet's in the 2000s or late 90s. Oh, there's this internet thing. It's cute. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Like, Nike's got a website up and forward. You're like,
Sure.
okay, well, now what? Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, how do I make money with this thing?
Right.
And if you think, it actually took a while for the internet to figure out how to make money. Like, they had the whole .com, like, they had the little .com bust, right? And those guys were actually making money. They were burning it with the hope, and then it bust. But then the companies rose from the ashes that actually made money off this whole internet thing is really what happened. And you look at the AI thing. There's a ton of people popping up doing different things. I don't know if I've seen anyone actually like generating profit with AI. Like, I'm sure they're out there, but you see a lot of people doing similar stuff and different stuff. I think everyone's trying to figure it out. Like, how do I use this thing to make me more money? But I think the wave's going to come, and it's not going to take long.
Yeah, and I think it's going to disrupt just about anything, which is interesting. And my daughter is 15 and hates AI, hates it. Anything that's generated with AI, she just says she will reject a brand in a second if she sit. Now, not your target, but I find it's interesting that young people, for as long as I can remember, have been the adopters of new technologies. Always been social media, everything else. It's been the young people adopting it, and I'm seeing so many younger people now that are rejecting it. Just saying, I don't want to be a part of that. I want real interactions. She and I this weekend are going to a record store in Spartanburg to do a listening party for a new album that's coming out for a band that she likes. And that's the experience of it. They want to be all in the same room listening to it in the record store, even though it's going to be available on Spotify or whatever, when it comes out, they want to be physically in the room together. And I think that's one thing that's going to happen too at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, every department of our company is using AI. I mean, HR, accounting, marketing, sales, text, like we all are.
Yeah.
Coding. I mean, we're using
yeah.
AI to like generate our code for us.
Yeah,
now.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just world's changing really quick, very very quick.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it was a fun conversation.
Yeah, this is awesome. We always end up with 5 questions, so it's just going to be kind of rapid fire. I'm going to come off the top of my head. First is, what kind of music do you like? What do you listen to?
Honestly, like I'm a pop guy.
Okay.
It probably surprised a lot of people. Yeah, pop or classic rock. I
Okay.
got between the two on Pandora.
What does pop mean to you?
Just current pop, trendy, dancey
Top
type
40s.
songs,
Yeah,
top 40
nice.
type songs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Not a lot of, easy to listen to.
No, I want something with the beat going on.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Favorite movie?
Oh man. It's probably bad I say this, but like Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
I think I watch that movie all the time.
It's a
like,
brilliant
actually,
movie.
all those movies, right? Wolf of Wall Street,
Yeah.
Boiler Room. Like,
Yeah.
you can throw me a little business in there.
Right.
But I'm a big Jordan Belfort fan. I watch his podcasts and. Yeah.
What I love about Wolf of Wall Street is that Scorsese was in his like late 70s making
Yeah.
that movie, and it felt fresh and it felt new, and introduced us to Jordan Belfort, who is a weird dude.
He is a really weird dude, but the guy knows how to sell. That's for sure,
does.
right? So he just at least he does it now better than he did before.
I started watching some of his like Australian sales training content, and it's bizarre. Just watching him after seeing that. That's great. Favorite season?
Oh, I'm definitely a summer guy. Like I live on Lake Murray. Like I am out there every single second I can get. So,
But from
I'm there.
Minnesota, so it makes a lot of sense, right?
Man, I will never live in the north again. Too dark, too cold. Like seriously, I lived up there. I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
I think I just had seasonal depression 10 months of the year. I didn't even realize it.
So Brian's from Wisconsin. He has the same thing. Summer's his favorite. I'm from here. Don't love summer, if I'm being honest. I love this right here, like false fall. Like
Technically still summer.
well, right, but 65 degrees when you leave the house and gets up to 85. That's my
August.
No, man, I'm throw a swimsuit on and go in the lake on the pontoon boat and go swim around.
That's right.
I'm outside all summer.
That's awesome. Favorite dessert?
Oh, ice cream, by far. Like, you give me some vanilla ice cream with some chocolate chip on there. Like, I'm digging into that all the time. Throw a cookie in there once in a while too, a chocolate chip cookie.
Right.
All over that guy.
Very good. All right, Brian, last one.
Favorite book?
Oh man. So I will say I probably get the title wrong because I do a lot. The Courage to be Disliked. So that book a couple years ago really, really changed my perception on a lot of things in life. I read it, and there's been a couple in the series. The whole premise of the book is a lot of people don't do things because they're afraid. And it's usually just these irrational fears that you have in your head on why you don't do something. And it comes down to a lack of courage. So that book gave me a big different perception on just my personal life, relationship with my kids, my work relationships, and really, I think, got me in the right direction.
Awesome.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for doing this, man. It's been cool talking.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys letting me come on.